I'm Aaron from TriFit, and I am making another cooking video, but today, we're not being healthy. Seriously, we're not doing anything healthy. I'm making pizza, and I'm not even gonna make it like a healthy pizza. We're making actual pizza. It's gonna taste good. It's Friday right now, wherever I am filming this video, and we are making Friday pizza night. And I'm not here to be healthy then. So if you're with me, let's get into it. So for ingredients to make pizza, it's actually very easy. You just need to invest time before it happens. So this isn't something you can do like right before you're going to eat. You actually have to make the dough and let it rise with yeast for a couple hours before we actually get to cooking. So this video might have a few different segments to it. You might notice time passing in it because the light will change, and that's perfectly fine because we are making one of the best foods on earth that isn't healthy, called pizza. So the first ingredient you're gonna need is flour. Lots and lots and lots of flour, about 3 to 4 cups. So make sure you got lots of flour on your hands. Salt. Sugar, because you know, we're all not sweet enough. Olive oil. And warm water for when we're mixing into it. So I usually just take warm water from the tap. I don't actually boil water, I just use warm water. It's for activating the yeast. Make sure you have yeast, make sure you have flour, sugar, salt, and oil and warm water for this recipe we're making today. So let's get into it by getting what we need, which is just measuring cups and a large bowl for making the dough in. Okay, so recipe calls for 3.5 to 4 cups of flour. So I generally go about 3.5, and then if I need to more add extra flour, I do. This is one of those recipes that you can't like go super exact. You kind of got to play with it. So go a little bit less, and then when you add the other ingredients, see how that feels, and then you might have to add more flour. Maybe you'll have to add more water until you get something that feels like pizza dough. Okay, sound good? Awesome. We have the 3-ish cups of flour inside, and now we're gonna put in the yeast. So be careful with the yeast. You don't wanna put too much or maybe too little, but we're doing 2.25 teaspoons or just 1 packet if you're like bougie and able to make that work for you. 2.25. Okay, cool. We are like almost done the hardest part of this. 2 teaspoons of salt. So you don't want to oversalt, you also don't want to undersalt. Salt is part of the thing that makes pizza taste good, right? It gives us that flavor, it makes us want to keep eating more of it, it makes it addictive, it makes it wonderful, but it's definitely not healthy. Don't you go thinking this recipe's healthy. It's not going to be healthy, okay? A teaspoon of sugar. And we all know that a teaspoon of sugar helps medicine go down. Today's medicine is pizza. And 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So this is just gonna get mixed in. We're also gonna be using a little bit later when we're waiting for the dough to rise, but just do about 2 tablespoons of olive oil added to the mix. Nice and easy. Now, I'm sure some of you are watching, and I'm sure some of you make really good pizza. And I'm sure some of you have some like ancient techniques when it comes to like making pizza and making it good, like leaving it out for 2 days so it can rise and all sorts of things, but I'm not much of a baker. So we're just going the easiest way possible. Mix all the ingredients together, whisk them together in a bowl, start adding the hot water so the yeast gets activated, and before we know it, we are going to have pizza dough on the rise. Is that a joke? I feel like that's a joke. Pizza dough on the rise? Oh, by the way, you're also gonna need a secondary bowl to transfer the dough into once we mix it all together. So get that out, and you're going to use the last little bit of olive oil, so about a teaspoon, to oil that bowl. So get out another bowl from wherever you get your bowls from. And when it comes to oiling the bowl, I don't really measure. I don't really care. So just put some oil in there, put a little bit more than you think, and then oil up that bowl. Remember, if you're gonna wash your hands, 30 seconds. Okay, so we're gonna add the hot water now. And this is where it gets a little bit messy. So you're gonna add 1.5 cups of warm water up to 110 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm Canadian, so I have no idea what that actually is in Celsius, so I just use some warm water. I just throw it in there. I don't really keep track. So take some warm water from your tap. And transfer it straight into the bowl with your dough. And from here, I just start mixing it. I'm not too particular. I just start mixing it all together with my hands, trying to get it all to mix up. And obviously, I did not use enough water at all because I don't know anything about baking. So this is gonna get awkward as I continue to add water to get this to work. So I made some choices, and I think I made some wrong ones. This is going rough today. Okay, you gotta start looking like dough. I added enough water, so now I'm officially kneading it with my hands, just making sure that it gets all mixed together, turning into actual dough. Anyway, so when you're working on your dough, you'll probably notice you need to add flour at some point, working a little bit more in, until you get just the right ratio of what it's supposed to look like. So just keep playing back and forth with that, and yeah, we're gonna work to that till we have dough. So with a little bit of video, YouTube special magic, we're gonna get to the point where we have dough. Okay, we did it. We made something that pretty well looks like dough, and because there's warm water, it activated the yeast, and it's gonna actively rise, so we end up getting a really fluffy pizza dough. So you have to transfer it into your oiled bowl, and you're gonna leave it there for about an hour and a half. And make sure it's covered when you do this. So find some saran wrap and cover it after you wash your hands again. Really, I need help. I don't know why I'm doing this by myself. I'm really... Okay, so as you can see, pizza dough hanging out in there. It's gonna rise for about an hour and a half, so it's gonna be about the size of this whole bowl by the time we're done. So just gonna leave that somewhere and wait for magic to happen. And by magic, I just mean basic biology, because it's yeast and it's growing and it's causing it to create CO2, which causes it to rise, so we put bubbles in it, and then it keeps growing and growing and growing until we put it in the oven and we end the life cycle of the yeast by baking it. God, we're so bad. Anyway, here we go. We're gonna go and let this rise. Okay, so I thought I'd take the opportunity to go and get like the toppings done now for the pizza for when the time comes. So here's the thing about pizza. You can do whatever you want for toppings. So like, I don't really know what to tell you. If you want to follow what I do, that's fine. But like, you can go find one, or you can just do whatever you want. It's a free country, it's pizza, do whatever you want. Except if you put pineapple on your pizza, I just wanna know who hurt you, okay? I just wanna know, it's sweet with savory, it doesn't work for me, and I have so many questions, but that's okay. So let's get into what I'm going to be putting on my pizza. The base of my pizza consists of two things. So I get a pasta sauce, so it's literally out of a can. This is some leftover I had when I made stuffed peppers a few days ago, so I'm going to be throwing that on the pizza as a tomato base. And then I also just brush the pizza with butter and garlic. So I chop up some garlic, melt it with some butter, and I brush that on as well. You're not going to see that right now, but you might see it a little bit later, so just take note. As well, I put red pepper, white mushrooms, veggie pepperoni, because I'm vegetarian, and mozzarella. Nice and easy, right? And then if you want to, you can get into some extra spices. I usually do some ground Himalayan sea salt, probably some oregano flakes, some basil flakes, and some garlic powder as well. But honestly, it's open season. It's a free country. You can do whatever you want when it comes to your pizza, except I don't know why you put pineapple. Please tell me who hurt you. Anyway, I'm gonna go and we're gonna go and prep everything. So I'm gonna get everything chopped up, so when the time comes for us to build the pizza, we are ready to go. So with a little bit of movie magic, I will see you in 2 hours. Oh, little ergonomics lesson before we get a little bit too much further, because somebody liked my ergonomics lessons on the other video. The best thing that you can do so you have an easier and safer time chopping is just to have a sharp knife. So take your steel, take your knife, hold it at a 45-degree angle, and start running it back and forth. You kind of sound like an axe murderer while you're in the kitchen, but you are using knives that could potentially cut through bone, so maybe you are, I don't know. But just make sure that your knife is nice and sharp. Obviously the steel isn't as good as a normal sharpening, but if you take time to do this every time you use it, it just gives yourself a nice little edge, so you don't have to use as much pressure while you're cutting, right? Nice and easy. You don't have to use as much pressure, then it's not as likely to slip. You don't have to use much energy, and you're not going to get injured as much. Nice and easy, right? Ergonomics when you're using a knife in the kitchen. Let's go and start chopping things up. Does anyone have their favorite sounds while they're prepping the kitchen? Does anyone have one? My favorite sound while I'm prepping the kitchen is the sound of celery being cut with a knife. That little crinkle cut sound. Now, I don't put celery on my pizza, so you're not gonna hear it, but I just thought I'd let you know. Here's another little tip actually that you can also go when it comes to using a knife. So, whenever you're using a knife, you don't actually hold it fully by the handle. This is an awful way to hold your knife. It gives you less control and less speed, and you end up having to use more force to be able to cut with it. So if you're actually going to be cutting like a real chef, hold the knife with your 2 fingers on the actual knife. So really, I'm only using these 2 to control what I'm doing, almost as if I'm holding a pen, and these just help support. It allows me to use less force to control the knife and use it more safely as I swing it around like this, doing this talk. But hold it like this. It takes a little bit getting used to, but it's gonna be really effective for chopping things up, okay? So, has anybody tried that Garfield pizza place in Toronto? The one that's all Garfield themed and like pizzas come out in the shape of Garfield's head and everything? Anyone tried that? Well, I tried it. I'm gonna tell you right now, don't get it. While you're at it, has anybody gone and done the drawing sessions, the coffee break sessions with Heather from the No Gym, No Problem team? Definitely go check those out. They're absolutely fun and they're an absolute blast. And she made us draw toilet paper before, which is in slow supply. So if you're running out of toilet paper, just draw some. Works for me. So, little fun tip. Does anybody use garlic press? And does anyone find garlic press kind of suck? Well, don't worry, because you never have to use one again if you have a decent chef's knife. All you have to do is just cover it and just give it a good whack. And before you know it, you have smashed your garlic. We're done prep, but the dough is definitely not ready yet, so we just gotta let it wait. You have to wait. You have to wait for pizza. Pizza is earned, and it's not healthy, remember? It's rising. Oh my god. Guys. Super exciting. The pizza dough is rising. I'm super excited. Check this out. This is like chemistry and biology happening. Take a look at this. Wait, I can't flip around my camera. I'll have to do a cut. 1 second. It's rising. Oh my god, it's getting bigger. This is amazing. And we are back. And the perspective has probably changed a little bit in this video because the boyfriend came home and he is helping me film. Thank you, Ryan. And we just played a little bit of Just Dance, so we're probably a little bit sweaty, but that's okay because we have risen dough. Look, it's risen to a dough, which is amazing, which means that we are going to be ready to turn it into what we need next. Okay, so get out a pan. I like this one. It's a good size. And start out by greasing it, but also don't forget to actually turn your oven on. So take your oven to bake for about 450 degrees. You want to get it nice and hot for when the pizza goes in there. And always check inside your oven to make sure you don't leave any pans there. Good little organization tip for you right there. So we take this, make sure it's nicely greased before you put it on the pan. And we are gonna get this dough prepped and ready to go. Now, I did myself the service of actually getting everything already chopped and prepped. Look at that. It's chopped, it's prepped. Thank you, cameraman, you silent, excellent cameraman. You know you can talk, boyfriend, if you want. No? Okay, cool. Anyway, so we're gonna take out our dough. So you're gonna open up inside our bowl. There we go. And we make sure, remember how I said that we oiled it? Don't look at our garbage. Don't you dare. You're a cameraman. Think about the shot. Anyway, so remember how I said we oiled it, which is really good. So we're gonna get our flour. We're gonna flour our board a little bit so that it stays into a nice dough consistency. And we are, oh my god, it is doughy, it's sticky, it's doughy. Oh my god, this is amazing. Look at this. Oh my god, look at that magic. And essentially what you're gonna do is you're gonna get it nice and doughed up, because right now it's sticking to the board. So you're gonna actually add a little bit more flour just so that it stays nice and not too sticky on the outside. So we're gonna need a little bit more flour. And usually I would do this myself, but I actually have a boyfriend right here. So it's starting to get a little bit less sticky, and you just keep adding flour to it until you get it to where you want it to be. So you just keep adding it until it gets nice and not too sticky. So we're getting there, slowly but surely. Aha, surely. Surely. You need a little bit more flour for what we're doing today. So we just keep adding it in, keep going, keep adding a little bit more flour each time. It's really, I think it's almost there. It's working beautifully. Oh my god, it's so good. A little bit more flour. Remember, I said this wasn't a healthy recipe I was making, so enjoy your gluten, your sugar, your salt, your flour. And essentially what we want to do next is, once we get it to a good level of consistency, we're going to take a moment to roll it out. So we're just going to wash our hands before we roll. Or essentially just rinse off our hands to get most of the flour off. Essentially you're going to roll it out a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfectly rolled, you're just going to get it a little bit rolled out onto the board. Okay, since we're in a pretty good shape right now, I'm not actually going to worry about rolling it out here. I'm just going to transfer it straight to the pan. And we're just going to get it nice and smoothed out on the pan itself. So I am using my bare hands to do this because I am messy. Thank you, hand, for helping out with that. And we're going to see if we can get this to roll out. As you can see, you just keep spreading it out, spreading it out, spreading it out until you get it to a point that you want it to be. Once again, I'm going to wash my hands, get some of this dough off as best we can. Okay. We are hoping and praying that this decides to actually spread itself out the way we want it to. Oh, it might be actually doing it now. So as you can see, I'm just using my hands to get this dough spread out onto the cutting board, not the cutting board, what am I talking about? The pan. So just getting it spread out, because this is gonna rise a lot when it's actually in the oven. So don't worry if you feel like it's really thin, because it is gonna rise when the time comes. It's gonna just rise and rise and rise. There's a joke there, I just don't know what the joke is. So rise up, there's one. Rise, we'll get there. I'll be funny someday. Anyway, as you can see, I got it spread out pretty nicely onto the board. Not the board, the pan. And we are gonna add some of our wonderful toppings after we wash our hands one more time. So, if you ever need garlic butter on the fly, essentially it's really easy. All you gotta do is take a mug you don't particularly like, take your garlic, throw it in the mug, our prepped garlic. We're gonna take some fresh butter. Is butter fresh? How fresh does butter have to be for it to be fresh? I have no idea. So you're just gonna take some butter, doesn't matter how much, like maybe a couple teaspoon amounts. Get that down in there with the butter, and this is gonna go straight inside the microwave. Generally about 30 seconds. And that's gonna help cook it together a little bit. Oh boy, I am not a girl for the up close shot, okay? You need me in the wide. But that's gonna get all ready to go, so we're able to butter it straight onto the pizza. Now remember how I said, this is not a healthy recipe, okay? That's okay. This is a delicious recipe. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Take your melted butter, just put it straight. That's a health and safety violation if I lose the cameraman. Straight onto the dough. Nice. There we go. Just get it all beat into the crust. There we go. Nice. Perfect. Then we're going to grab our sauce. Nice and easy. One more spoon. And essentially, spoons are really nice for putting sauce on because you can kind of get the sauce just to how you like it. If you use a whole can, it might be too much or it might be too little, so it's good just to add a little bit of sauce, see how you feel about it. Maybe you like it saucy, maybe you don't. I don't know. Maybe if you like a lot of sauce in your pizza and a soggy pizza, once again, my only question for you is who hurt you? But whatever, we'll keep going. So we're just gonna keep putting that sauce on until we feel we're a good amount. Now, when you have your partner filming, I'm just gonna ask the boyfriend, and he can nod through the camera if this is a good sauce level for him. Good, awesome. He is happy, I am happy. We have the sauce on the pizza. More here. Good, we're getting it onto those edges. Thank you, boyfriend. Good, good, good. Now, we can start adding a few of those toppings. So, we have peppers and mushrooms, because I'm super basic. So I like to do kind of like in little layers. So I put a first layer kind of baked right into the pizza itself, and with a few of the toppings, then I add some cheese, and then I add some more toppings on top of that. So this is sort of the base layer, and then I add some cheese to it. So go get some pizza cheese mix, always a good time. And just put a layer of that onto the pizza. And then we're gonna grab our veggie pepperonis, which honestly tastes just like normal pepperoni if you add them with things. Don't just try and eat them raw. They're definitely not that great raw, but if you cook them into things, you can't tell the difference at all. There we go. So take out a few of your pepperonis and start throwing them on. I like things organized and straightforward, so I just put them in nice little lines, because I, once again, am boring and basic. It's fine. I'm willing to own my basicness. another layer of cheese after this. Good. Just over top of all those pepperonis, nice little spread of cheese. And then we're gonna do the rest of our veggie toppings on top of that. So just throw those all over the top of your pizza. Generally they do shrink a little bit when you cook them, so that's why I've cut the mushrooms into such a large chunk that they actually shrink a good bit. And the peppers are always fun just to have on there. And then we do one more layer of cheese. Nice and easy on top. And remember, we're not looking to be healthy, so use as much cheese as you want. I like a lot of cheese. There we go. And then you can just add whatever spices you might like on top of it. So I like to add a little bit of sea salt. A little bit of fresh ground pepper. Garlic powder. Basil flakes. So not too much of the basil, it is quite overpowering, but just a few. And oregano, because who doesn't love some oregano on their pizza? Blah, 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 blah. Good. We are making progress. Okay, so our pizza is ready to go in the oven. Now, 450 is generally where you want to cook it to when you're in there. It's going to take anywhere, well, the recipe is generally say 10 to 15 minutes, but I've always found that it's more 20 to 25 to get it to cook all the way through and for the dough to rise. So we're going to throw this in the oven and we are going to see what happens when we have pizza in a few minutes. Sound good? Here we go. And always in the middle rack of the oven. And we live in the future, so I like to say, hey Google, set a timer for 15 minutes.
Okay, 15 minutes. And we're starting now.
Isn't she great? So, we're gonna leave that in there. I'm gonna check it at the 15-minute mark, but you are gonna see me when we have a finished pizza. And the timer went off, so it is time to take out the pizza, which isn't healthy. It's Friday pizza night. It's not healthy. But let's take a look, see. Whoo! Look at that beauty. Homemade pizza. I am so excited for this. Obviously, you can't cut it right away. Give it a few minutes to set, because it's going to be very, very hot right now before you cut it. And then once you cut it, you're good to eat it however you want. Add dipping sauce to it, whatever, but that is how you make a pizza. It's a little bit more of an investment than some of the other foods that we've made on this channel, but it's probably the most delicious one. And remember, it's not healthy. So I will see you in the next video. Bye!